Hello, Windows Analysis! We explore the Windows universe, performance, hidden settings, history, hacks, and updates. If you like understanding your system, stay tuned. Today we are solving a really frustrating modern mystery. You know the one? You close your laptop with a full battery, you come back the next morning, and it's practically dead. What in the world is your computer doing while it's supposed to be sleeping? Well, let's find out.
I mean, we've all been there, right? It honestly feels like a betrayal by your own tech. But this isn't just some random fluke. There's a very logical reason for this overnight battery heist, and together, we are going to uncover it.
Okay, so to solve any good mystery, you first have to identify the crime. And in this case, it's a classic whodunit of battery drain. While your machine looks like it's inactive, there's a whole world of processes working in the shadows, just sipping away at that energy without you even realizing it. So let's line up the usual suspects.
Now, seeing this list, you might be thinking, aha, gotcha, problem solved. But here's the thing. These tasks are what I like to call necessary evils. They're absolutely fundamental for keeping your system secure, up to date, and running the way it should. I mean, from security patches to keeping your OneDrive files in sync, this stuff just has to get done. So the real culprit here isn't what is running, but how it's all being managed.
And that's where the real hero of our story comes in, the task scheduler. Now, I want you to get the idea of a simple alarm clock out of your head, something that just fires off tasks at a set time. That is not what this is, not at all.
The best way to think about it is with this metaphor. The task scheduler is an intelligent orchestra conductor. Its whole job is to make sure all those background processes, the violins of file indexing, the trombones of security scans, play their part without ruining the main concert. And that main concert, that's your user experience and, you guessed it, your battery life. It's one sophisticated manager. And of course, this conductor didn't just appear out of thin air. It started its life way back in Windows 95 as a super basic tool called the System Agent. But the real leap, the absolute game changer, came with Windows Vista and version 2.0. This introduced event-based triggers. So instead of just do this at 2 a.m., it could now react to things, like run this task when you connect to Wi-Fi, or only when the PC is idle. This made it infinitely smarter and way more efficient.
So, let's open up the forensic toolkit that Windows uses to keep all these processes in check and to squeeze every last drop of juice out of your battery. And it's not just one single program, it's a whole ecosystem of technologies all working together in harmony.
The very first tool in the box is something called C-states, and you can literally think of these as micro siestas for your processor. When your CPU has nothing to do, instead of just sitting around wasting power, it takes a nap. A C1 state is a light doze, but a C6 or C7, that's a deep slumber. The trade-off is, the deeper the sleep, the more power you save, but it also takes just a tiny fraction of a second longer to wake back up. So if C states are for when the CPU is asleep, P states are for when it's awake and actually working. Because your processor doesn't always need to be running at full blast, right? For simple stuff, the system just tells it to chill out, lowering its speed and voltage. It's kind of like shifting from an all-out sprint to a casual walk to avoid wasting energy when you just don't need it.
Now let's talk about one of the most modern and frankly, most powerful tools. Is it actually possible to slash a background task's power use by up to 90%? The answer is a resounding yes, thanks to a technology called EcoQoS. It is pure genius. On modern processors that have both big performance cores and smaller efficiency cores, EcoQoS shuffles those background tasks, like file indexing, over to the little low-power cores. And the result? Less work, less heat, less fan noise, and of course, a whole lot more battery life.
And all of this, it brings us right to the scene of the crime. The great challenge of modern power management, something called modern standby. And this is where things get really serious. A single misbehaving task can become a silent thief, stealing your entire battery charge without you ever even knowing it happened.
To really get this, you have to look at the old standby mode, S3, versus the new one. In the old days, the computer was basically off. Now, with modern standby, or S0, it stays in this very low power but always alert, always connected state, a lot like your smartphone. Now, this is brilliant for that instant-on experience we all love, but it also opens the door for something to go wrong and just drain that battery dry.
So here is the crucial point. The entire goal of modern standby is for your system to get into and stay in an ultra-deep sleep state called drips. But any little thing, a notification, a quick file sync, can wake it up. If that happens over and over again, the processor never gets to truly rest, and your battery is the one that pays the price.
And hey, this isn't just an opinion. You can actually measure it.
Microsoft has really clear metrics on this. A healthy system in modern standby should be spending more than 94% of its time in that deep deer state. If your numbers are worse than that, well, you've got a problem.
And this slide right here perfectly illustrates the problem. You've got these constant interruptions from some rogue process or a bad driver, and they prevent the system from ever hitting that deep, power-saving sleep. It's like trying to sleep while someone keeps poking you every 5 minutes. You're never going to get any real rest.
But now, here comes the best part. We're going to see how anyone, and I mean anyone, can become a system detective and audit their own machine to find out exactly what's stealing their battery. And don't you worry, the process is incredibly simple.
You need to remember this name, Power CFG Sleep Study. This command is your master key. It is the exact same tool that Microsoft's own engineers use to diagnose what's happening when that laptop lid is closed.
And using it is so easy. Just open up a terminal window as an administrator, type that one simple command, and Windows will generate a super detailed HTML report on everything that happened while it was supposed to be sleeping.
Okay, so you've got the report. Now what? You just need to focus on 2 key clues. First, check that percentage of time spent in DRAPs. Is it above 94%? And then, most importantly, look at the list of top offenders. The report will tell you, with no filter, exactly which process, which driver, or which scheduled task is causing all the trouble and keeping your machine awake.
So, it all comes down to having the right information. You see, Windows is in this constant battle for every single watt of energy, from the task scheduler all the way to modern standby. And this leads us to the final question. What energy vampires are hiding in your system?
And that's it for today's analysis. If you liked it, subscribe, leave a like, and a comment telling us what you discovered with the Sleep Study command. Enjoy tinkering and see you in the next Windows analysis.